What's up, boxing fans? This is TBE Boxing back at you again. Today's topic: Leonard Ellerbe. Jermall Charlo is the best middleweight in the world right now. Let's chop it up and see what it's all about.
Got the money for minutes, pretty bitch, gotta show me titties. This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? Thug like you for riches, huh? Thug like you for riches, huh? Pretty bitch, show me titties, huh? And I got the glizzy, run up on me, I'ma make you get it. I'ma make you get it.
Okay, boxing fans, let's chop up this Jermall Charlo, Demetrius Andrade, and CARNE-LO Alvarez and see what we can come up with. Okay, so you heard Leonard Ellerbe came out and made a statement that this was after the doubleheader with the Charlos. He said that Jermall Charlo is the best middleweight in the world right now. That's an interesting comment. But the question I would have to ask is it true? Is Jermall Charlo really the best middleweight in the world right now? I mean, I don't know, but let's talk about it. Okay, so Jermall is coming off a win right now. Jermall, the Hitman Charlo, he's coming off a win right now with Derenchenko, and it was a pretty good fight. He beat Derenchenko. He had a few, tough moments there, but he pulled out the fight and won the fight. Okay, so that was, congrats to Jermall. Pretty good fight. In terms, the question I have is, does that win make him the best middleweight in the world? I mean, what is Leonard Ellerbe basing his statement on? Well, I'm thinking it's the win against Derenchenko, but I wouldn't. Me personally, I wouldn't think a win against Derenchenko would make Charlo the best middleweight in the world. Okay, you have two other guys out there, champions, Demetrius Andrade, and you have Canelo Alvarez. So, for me, until he fights those guys, then there's no way we can call Jermall Charlo the best middleweight in the world. He has to prove it. Okay, that's just the way it works. You can't just claim you're the best. You have to prove you're the best. And I don't think a win over Derenchenko makes Charlo the best, because if you want to really take a hard look at that fight, when you looked at Derenchenko next to Charlo, he looks like a welterweight, or a junior middleweight compared to Charlo. He looks small, okay, and he is small compared to Charlo. So Charlo was the bigger guy in there, and it still was he handled the fight pretty well, but it was a pretty tough fight considering. But Charlo is a much bigger guy. As a matter of fact, Derenchenko is talking about going back down to junior middleweight, and he should. Because I don't think he's big enough for the big guys up there like Charlo at middleweight. And we saw what happened with that fight. I think if Derenchenko was to go back down to junior middleweight, he'd probably have a better chance of getting a title shot, getting a title down there. I don't know, because Jermall has all the titles right now. But if I was him, I would move down to that weight division and try my luck there instead of at that middleweight, because the middleweight guy is just too big for Derenchenko, I think. Okay, and so that fight I don't think makes Charlo the best middleweight in the world. Now I know Leonard Ellerbe likes to talk, and he has a gift of gab. Okay, he's the king of hyperbole. Okay, he will make he make everything sound good. When you hear him talk about his fighters and their promotion, he's very good at listing their best qualities, and he's good at that. When he talks about, if you hear him talk about Tank, you think that Tank was the best thing since Sugar Ray Robinson. Okay, but that's Leonard Ellerbe. That's the way he operates. You know, so I mean, it didn't it doesn't surprise me that he would say something like that, what he said about Charlo. But again, we have to come back down to earth and look at the cold hard facts. Okay, so at the end of the day, the Derevyanchenko fight showed you that Charlo is good and you can handle tough guys, top ranked guys. But like I said, Derevyanchenko is a small guy, and I don't really see that. Even though it was a good test for him to pass, I don't really see it as him beating that guy, making him the best in the world. Okay, he'd have to fight Canelo and or Demetrius Andrade, or both, actually. Okay, I mean, I'm not really a big fan of all these champions. Okay, I think there should be one champion in each division. Okay, I think they should always. I mean, it's not a problem having all these champs. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. But they should fight each other. Okay, it should be mandatory that these guys fight each other, and that they should be undisputed at each weight division. Okay, you can, so that's the way I see it. And now I heard that Jermall has said that he wants to fight again before the year is out, which would make if we look at the calendar, I mean, if for him to fight before the year is out, he probably have to fight again in November or December. Okay, now I'm not sure who he has in mind, but I hear the person that they mention the most in relation to Jermall Charlo is Canelo. He's always he's been chasing the Canelo fight for a while now, calling out Canelo. Say Canelo is ducking him, this, that, and the other. Now, the thing about, but I've never really heard him call out Andre. Okay, I mean, I've heard Andre calling out Jermall. Okay, and I know that they had some kind of personal issue or something like that. I mean, well, not personal, but I think it's business related. That supposedly Jermall and they were scheduled to fight, and I guess something happened with Andre. They said he pulled out. I don't know if that's the case or not, but whatever the case may be, that fight didn't happen, and Charlo blames Andrade for that. Okay, and also the fact that I saw them interact before, where Andrade had came to a press conference that they were keeping and called him out, and I guess the Charlos kind of took that as a disrespect, because Andrade I said that he'd fight either one of them, the 154-pound Charlo or the 160-pound Charlo. Okay, I mean, that would be an interesting fight. I mean, Jermall and Andrade, and so would the Canelo and Charlo fight, or even the Canelo and Andrade fight. Okay, so I mean, between these three guys, we could make them intriguing matchups, and I would like to see them fight each other at some point. And if Charlo is serious about fighting before the end of the year, a fight with Andre is probably the easiest fight to make, as opposed to fighting Canelo, because I don't know if he'll get Canelo by the end of the year. I don't think Canelo is involved in all kind of legal confusion right now with Dazn and Golden Boy, so we don't know what's going to happen with him, or when he's going to fight again. But Eddie Hearn came out and said that they're ready to make the Charlo Andrade fight. As a matter of fact, I think they had made an offer to Charlo maybe a couple months back, or a year ago, or something like that, to fight. I heard they offered the Charlos between $7 and $10 million to fight Andrade, and I heard that he refused it. Now I don't know if that's the case, if he actually refused it, but that's what reports are saying, that he refused the fight. I mean, I don't know why he would refuse it, but I'm sure he has his reasons. I mean, Andrade would be a tough fight for Charlo, I think. And as far as I'm concerned, if Charlo was to beat Andrade that would make a statement. That would be a seismical shift in the middleweight division. Actually, I mean that would be big, not just big. It would be a monster. Okay, that would be that would be a great fight, by the way, and I think a lot of people would tune in to see that fight. Okay, because that would be Charlo actually stepping up to real competition in terms of championship caliber fighter like Andre. I mean, so it'd be interesting to see how that fight would turn out. I mean, it would be a great fight. Okay, now the Canelo and Charlo fight. Well, all right, let's talk about how I think that fight would look with Andre and Charlo. Okay, now we all know Andre is tall. Okay, lanky, rangy fighter, good reach. Okay, Charlo is a solid middleweight guy. I mean, he looked like the perfect middleweight, just like his brother looked like the perfect junior middleweight. These guys are like built for boxing. It looks like solid fighter. Okay, big, strong, fast, and not necessarily the best mover in the business, but he's pretty good on his feet. We saw the Derevyanchenko fight that I think he kind of loses focus there. In that fight, I don't know, but I mean, from what I saw of that fight, there's a couple, like Charlo has a great jab, okay, and to me, he should, he could have used the jab more effectively. I mean, not that he could have used it more effectively, but he should have used it more, okay. There's a couple of times there where he kind of lost, kind of forgot about the jab and was in there with Derevyanchenko because most of the fight was in close. So. I don't think he could afford to do something like that against Demetrius Andrade. But I mean, in the fight against Derevyanchenko, I noticed that Charlo was pretty tired at the end of the fight. I mean, it took him, it looked like he was pretty gassed out there by the time the fight ended, which is also not a good look. I mean, I think he should, work on his conditioning. But again, it was a tough fight between him and Derevyanchenko. So I mean. Relatively speaking, it wasn't like, it wasn't. I mean, Derevyanchenko was in the fight, and he was never out of the fight per se. But you can see that Charlo was winning the fight for the most part. But it was a pretty good fight. Now, Demetrius Andrade would bring a whole host of problems for Charlo, from what I can see, and we have heard. We have heard Sean Porter say that he think that Demetrius Andrade would beat Jermall Charlo. Now, I mean, that's an interesting comment by, or interesting statement by Showtime Sean Porter. Known Showtime Sean Porter, I respect his opinion. Okay, he's one of the best welterweights in the world. Okay, definitely probably a future Hall of Famer, and his opinion or his input in this situation should be taken for what it is. It should be respected, and I respect it. And so him saying that Demetrius would beat Charlo, I mean, says a lot. And I don't know what the Charlos think about that, but it's an interesting comment nonetheless. Now, let's look at the fight itself. I mean, the thing about Demetrius Andrade is that, the guy is phenomenal in terms of his boxing IQ. I think he's a very good boxer. He has a long reach. Okay, good foot movement, good head movement, good all around ring generalship. Okay, good speed, and decent power. So matching up against, if you were matching up against Charlo, I mean, I think he has more of a reach than Charlo. Maybe Charlo might have the edge in strength. Okay, I don't think Charlo has the edge in power. I think they probably just about the same power wise. Maybe Demetrius might be slightly ahead in the power department because he gets good leverage on his punches because he was punching from range. So, I mean, a fight between them, I'm looking to see Demetrius moving, jabbing, and then coming in into the pocket, at times, and peppering Charlo. Charlo would have to try to basically, cut the ring off for Andrade, and try to hammer him when they get in close. Okay. Now I don't know what it's going to look like on the inside fighting with these guys. I know on the boxing part of it, in terms of the outside range, that I believe that Andrade would outbox Charlo. Okay, but as far as in the pocket or in the range or in close fighting, I don't know how that would turn out. Okay, that would be interesting to watch, to see what would really happen on the inside. Would Charlo take the fight to the inside? I mean, he would try to, I'm sure. Or would Demetrius? Maybe Demetrius might want to fight on the inside. We don't know. I mean, does he think he can beat Charlo on the inside? We don't know. So it's an intriguing matchup, and I would look forward to actually seeing it and see how it would actually turn out. I mean, based on me personally, I mean, Charlo is a good boxer, decent boxer. Like I said, he's not overwhelmingly fast, but he's quick. Okay, good power, and he's a solid fighter at middleweight, a solid middleweight. Okay, I wouldn't. I'm not going to say that he can't beat Charlo, because he could. Okay, I think he could actually beat. Beat Andrade. I think Charlo could. It's not like a fight where I'm gonna say that Jermall Charlo have no chance of beating Demetrius Andrade. I mean, I personally, I think that Demetrius Andrade has the edge in the fight between them, but it's not as if Charlo has no chance. It's far from it. Okay, I mean, I think that if Andrade goes in there slipping, that Charlo will knock him out. Okay, I mean, or take him out of there. But I doubt if that would happen. I think that basically what would happen in the fight between them is that Demetrius Andrade would outbox Charlo at range for the duration of that fight. I think that his boxing skills and plus his advantages in terms of his reach and movement and speed would give Charlo a lot of trouble. Okay, lots of trouble, actually, major trouble. Okay, so it's an interesting matchup. Now, whether or not Jermall is ready to test himself against Andrade at this point in his career, I'm not sure. It's a big risk, and he just got, it's a big risk to him, to his position at middleweight, and he might lose if he fights. There's a high probability that he could lose against Demetrius. So I'm not sure he was going to take that risk. Nowadays these guys, not just Jermall, but boxers in general, don't really take a lot of risks. Okay, vis-a-vis. We could look at the Errol Spence situation. With Crawford, that fight is not happening. But if the fight between Jermall Charlo and Demetrius happening, it would be great for boxing. Okay, I think that fight would get a lot of pay-per-view buys if they was to go on pay-per-view, and I think that would be a big fight, one of the biggest fights at middleweights right now. It would be a huge fight, actually, if they was to do the build-up right. But I don't know how much So I mean, I don't really think that Jermall Charlo is going to fight Demetrius that close. You know, like this year, for example. You know, in December. Okay, I don't see that fight happening then. I mean, it's possible, but I doubt it. But if it does happen, it would be great, actually. Okay, even though there's a, I think that if if they were to build up the fight for like say some early in 2021, promotional wise for the promotion, then that would be a great matchup and a great promotional. They can do good promotion, give more time to promote the fight. So maybe Charlo might fight, and just a regular fighter in before the end of the year, like he claims that he wants to fight before the end of the year. Okay, but I mean, from what I heard, he says he wants to unify. Okay, so if he wants to unify, then he has to fight Demetrius or Canelo, and I don't think the Canelo fight is in the cards right now. Canelo is, like I said, is having issues, and with DAZN and Golden Boy, and so the only fight out there right now that makes any sense would be the Andrade fight. It's a big fight for both guys, okay, and it would be a great fight. But like I said, I don't think the Charlo. I doubt. I would be surprised. Okay, just let me say that I would be surprised if Charlo would take the risk and fight Demetrius Andrade at this point in his career, right now. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't see it happening. I don't think Charlo, I mean, regardless of what Ellerbe is saying about the best middleweight in the world right now, okay, I don't see Charlo, accepting a challenge from Demetrius Andrade. I just see it as a risky fight for him. I mean, and why would he want to risk his belt at this point? I mean, actually, the fight should happen, okay, but I don't see it. I don't see it happening, okay. Like I said, for the reasons I just gave, I don't think. I mean, I don't see boxing. I don't see a lot of these boxers out there taking these risky fights or taking these challenging fights or these competitive fights, like they're supposed to. For the most part, a lot of these guys just try to get the safest fight they can get. But I mean, maybe Charlo really wants to smoke, and is looking to actually unify, like he says, and maybe he's shooting for undisputed at middleweight, and he really wants to fight the next guy, another champion, like and if only Demetrius is available for him right now, maybe he'll take the fight, and they'll fight. But I don't know. I would love to see it though. Now, in terms of the Canelo fight. We all know Canelo, his situation. He's like basically he has his own, I don't know what you call it, but he's got his own thing going on in the middleweight division. He does what he wants to do basically, and so it's difficult to pin him down for any fights. Okay, so I don't know. I've heard that he might be interested in this fight. I mean, will that fight happen? I mean, it could happen sometime in the near future, but from what I'm hearing, Canelo is we're talking about moving to light heavyweight or something like that. So I don't know what that's all about, but Jermall Charlo is at 160, and so for them to fight, they have to. Canelo would have to come down to 160 pounds, which I don't think is going to happen, because I don't think, I don't know. I mean, maybe Charlo would have to go up to 168, which he has said that he's willing to do. Okay, so he have no problem moving up that way to fight Canelo. I think he's even said that he'll even move up even higher than that to fight Canelo, because he wants the Canelo fight. That's a fight he's been chasing for a while now. Okay, he thinks he can beat Canelo, and he probably can. I mean, Canelo doesn't have the physical attributes that Demetrius Andrade has, so that fight wouldn't present the same issues for Jermall Charlo as the Canelo fight. I mean, as the Andrade fight. Okay, I mean, if I think Jermall height wise is taller than Canelo, and so reach wise probably about the same. So that fight would be probably a little bit easier for Jermall, but then again, maybe not, because as we saw in the Triple G fight, Canelo has improved his boxing game a lot, lately, and I don't think that's an easy fight for Jermall Charlo either. Okay, because Canelo is quick with his hands, and he does have heavy hands. He's good at his feet when he has to be. Okay, he's good at slipping punches and counter punching, and he's got good offense and defense. Okay, so, and he can take a shot. We saw that again in Triple G. I mean, Triple G hit him solidly several times, and he didn't budge him. Okay, so I mean, does Charlo punch harder than Triple G? I don't know. I doubt it. But can Charlo make Canelo respect his power? I don't know. I mean, we saw what happened with Triple G, and Canelo had no problem with Triple G's power. Like I said, he got hit some solid punches from Triple G, and he didn't buckle or go down. So I don't think that Charlo power is going to present a problem for him. In terms of boxing ability, Canelo is a pretty good boxer, okay, and he's improving all the time. I don't, in terms of edge, I'd probably give Canelo a slight edge in the boxing, because he has more, and plus he has more experience as well. I mean, he has fought some of the best fighters in the world, even though most of the fighters he fought was past their prime, but still they were pretty good, and that only transfers, like, give him more experience in terms of fighting top guys, and he has fought a lot more guys than top guys than Jermall Charlo, especially he fought Floyd Mayweather, and I think he learned a lot from that fight. So in terms of experience, you have to give Canelo the edge in that fight against Charlo. Okay, he's the more experienced fighter. Okay, so all in all, I don't know. It'd be that would be a good fight, actually. It'd be a great fight, I would think. And it would be interesting to see how it turn out, okay? But that would be a great fight. I mean, any one of these guys fighting each other would be a great fight, actually. I mean, that's what it really comes down to. And I would hope that these guys would fight each other soon, so that we can see which one is actually the best, despite what Leonard Ellerbe is saying. I mean, that's good hyperbole from Leonard Ellerbe, but it doesn't really mean much if these guys don't fight each other, okay? So, I would look forward to see a fight between all these guys, and I think the fans would love it. Okay, any one of these guys fighting each other would be a fan favorite, as far as I can see, and it would be great for boxing. Okay, and so if there was a fight, the sooner the better, for them to put these fights on that people want to see, and I would love to see a fight between either Jermall Charlo and CARNE-LO, or Jermall Charlo and Andrade, okay, or Andrade and Canelo, okay. So either one, I would love to see that fight. But if Jermall Charlo is going to fight again before the end of the year, and if he actually picks Andrade to fight before the end of the year, I'll be very surprised. I don't really see that happening. If he actually picks Canelo, if he actually picks Andrade at all, it would be great, but I don't see it happening. But who knows? I don't know everything. He could possibly, fight Andrade next, regardless of what I'm saying. But we'll have to see. Only time will tell. So I think I'm going to leave it there for now. That's all I have. This is TBE Boxing. Oh, wait a minute. Before I go, I want to let you guys know that, you should go ahead and, press the like button and the bell icon, okay? Subscribe to the channel so you can get the latest from the TBE. You can also go to tbeboxing.com, okay, and get some merchandise, or go to my merchandise link below, and you can see all the different places that you can go to link up with TBE Boxing. Don't forget tbeboxing.com, and you also make sure you subscribe and hit the like button. This is TBE Boxing.